Okay, this is obviously the Viking Husqvarna that we promised a number of people that have contacted us that would be coming up for auction. This particular one happens to be a 19E. As far as I remember, it's the very first one that we've ever offered on eBay. Couple unique things about this: even though it looks almost identical to the 21E, the 19E, unlike the 21E or the 4010 or the Colormatic that we sold before that require these cams. This 19E has those cams built in the back of the machine already. So you don't have to worry about having this, or this, because they're already engineered into this machine. I think that's a huge benefit, I really do. Let's go ahead, after I briefly share with you a little bit about this funny little guy right here, as I've done in other videos. This funny little guy represents King Gustavus Adolphus, who back in 1620 decreed a drilling and grinding plant for musket barrels. That eventually grew into them making products like hunting rifles and ultimately sewing machines right around 1872. 80 to 90 years later, this machine was born in 1964. And you know what? This is incredible, incredible Swedish engineered machine. Let's go ahead and start on the bottom right hand side. Right where you can see here it says Sweden Special. Why does it say special? Well, it says special for a number of reasons. Number one, as I've already said, instead of having to insert a cam or trying to find a cam for one of these incredible green machines, those cams are already engineered into the machine itself, so you don't have to be concerned about that. Another reason is it has that unique feature where when you put a bobbin on the machine, it automatically disengages that clutch, so you can wind a bobbin without that needle moving. So those are the two reasons that this particular machine is a 19E special. Alright, moving right up the machine right here, you can see this is obviously a control to lower the feed dogs. You turn it to the right, the feed dogs drop so you can do freehand embroidery. You turn it back to the left and those feed dogs pop right back up again. This right here is a control for a couple of different things. One, it's going to control stitch width. And also, it's kind of hard to see, but if the camera zooms in real close, there's a little metal tab that's sticking up that you can depress. You're going to use that for different stop points when you use the auto buttonholer function of this machine as well. I'm not going to go into that in detail, but it's a great feature, so you can execute a buttonhole with this machine using nothing more than a zigzag and have those stop points automatically set by simply pushing this little tab. If we move up the machine right here, this is going to be our stitch length control. The stitch length variation on this Swedish machine, like the 21A and like the 4010 and other recent Swedish engineered machines that we've listed, has a wider variation than even the Singer machines. Singer machines are generally 6 to 30 stitches per inch. This will go 5 to 30 stitches per inch. So not dramatic, but you know, depending on your project, it could make a difference. Also, very easy to sew in reverse with this machine. You simply push this in, and then when you want to resume sewing forward, you just release it. Let me show you an example of an applique that we did on this machine. A beautiful, beautiful applique where you can see we've got all this quilting work through here, which is all stitch work. And you can see that there's a wide variation as far as stitch length, anything from, again, 5 stitches to 30 stitches per inch. Some of these inner parts where you see these concentric turns not only demonstrate the stitch length variation, but also the control that this machine has in being able to make tight turns, because it has that very unique, let me see if I can reach down and get it, it has that very unique speed control pedal. And you can see as well, it also has that royal crest on there. These machines, again, because of that original decree of the King of Sweden, all of the machines that came out of that same factory have that royal crest to signify that. And boy, is this racing style pedal great for not only maximum speed but also maximum control. So back to this applique again. The thing to say about appliques is they really are a representation of what that machine is capable of doing from a creative standpoint. And because of the caliber of this machine, with just a little bit of creative spark, you're just as capable of generating a project of this quality and caliber with a machine that's as outstanding as this 19E. All right, I haven't sent the King away yet. I'll probably do that right now so you can say goodbye to our good friend King Adolphus. I'm going to set him to the side so you can see the rest of this machine more readily. Now, we've already covered the stitch width, we've covered the feed dog drop, we've covered the stitch length variation along with that easy reverse. If we move right over to here, this is going to serve a single purpose. On the 21A, it serves a couple of purposes, this region of the machine. This is just going to be really to control the alignment of that needle. When I turn it to the left, you can see the needle moves to the left, to the right, and center where you're going to be using it most often. Now, along with always liking to show the applique, to show the creative possibilities with one of our machines, we always try to also include an instruction manual. This is obviously an original one. We either try to include an original if possible, or we find a quality reprint and then we professionally bind it on the edge so it's a resource to you. That really is the reason that we, unlike a lot of sellers, we always go out of our way to try to locate the operating manual, the instruction manual, and we include it for no extra charge. You don't have to go out and find it and pay $15 for it and then pay additional money to get it bound. We always do that for our buyers, because we want them to enjoy these machines to the fullest. Also because we want them to be able to maintain these machines over many, many years that they own them. Now, when you get this machine initially, don't worry about that. We've already spent about 12 hours on this machine inside and out to make sure that it's running at the best possible and optimal level that it can. And but as that routine maintenance eventually comes due, this operating manual will guide you through the very simple steps of maintaining this 19E at that optimal sewing level. Also, from a resource standpoint, this manual, like any of our reprint manuals as well, because they all have the same content, will point out subtle things that many sellers on eBay would not even know, especially ones that don't service their own machines. Something like this machine also comes with a slow sewing feature. Right on the side, where in a little bit we'll demonstrate the bobbin winding aspect of this machine and how it disengages that clutch automatically. That same area, by pulling that out, you can reduce the gear ratio on this machine without having to really carefully trying to manage that foot control. And by reducing that gear ratio, you can sew very, very slow and be able to do detailed embroidery work or quilting accent type work without ever having to micromanage the pressing of that foot control. Wonderful, wonderful feature, very unique to the green machines and to this 19E. So again, this is something we're going to be including, no extra charge, a resource, and also a wonderful reference point if you encounter any questions about this machine. Okay, we've covered all of this on the right side of the machine. This is a great opportunity to show you a couple of things. One is, before I show you how easy that it is to thread this machine, I'm going to go ahead and remove this incredible bed. But prior to removing it, I'm going to show you a couple of things, as I've done in the other videos, about the workspace that this incredible 19E provides. It has this incredible extension bed. The dimensions of this extension bed, if I go from the pillar all the way to the end, you're looking at about a 15-inch workspace. That's unprecedented when it comes to any vintage machines that I've ever seen on eBay other than these green machines. Also, if I go from front to back, you can see that you've got a width on the bed in the harp space area of 8 inches. We've got a height of, I believe it's going to be really close to, let me do it like this so it's easier for you to see. going to have a height clearance in the harp space of right around 5 inches. And again, from pillar to needle, you're looking at, if the camera swings all the way towards the pillar, you're looking at right around 7¼ inches, almost 7½ inches. That's a huge amount of workspace to have so that you're able to manage the turning of material and just have a huge workspace to manage different project aspects as well. Also, wonderful access to the light. Should you need to change it out, you simply pull it down, push it back up when you change that bulb out if you need to. And also by opening the faceplate, I won't turn the machine, but I'll simply tell you that this is where you would adjust that presser foot pressure by just rotating this dial. If you rotate it to the right, you're going to increase it. If you rotate it to the left, you're going to decrease that. And the simple rule when it comes to presser foot pressure is if you're dealing with heavy materials, if you're dealing with multiple layers of something, you always want to increase that presser foot pressure. Do it gradually, just like you would in adjusting tension, so that you don't overcompensate either. Okay, back to the top of the machine. These are obviously, and I haven't specifically pointed this out because I don't want to insult any buyer's intelligence, but these are obviously the easy oiling points across the top of the machine, and you can reference your instruction manual for additional oiling points. Again, don't be worried about that when you get the machine. The machine's ready to go to work. Okay, on the back you can see there's 2 spool pins, which right away tells you this machine is capable of doing dual needle sewing. Also, you would use this particular spool pin on the right for winding a bobbin, and I'll demonstrate that in just a second. Right over here you've got your main thread feed. If you go across the machine here, you can see we have a thread guide here, another one to the front. That thread is then going to come through this tension control area, up around this spring control, around this thread arm guide here, up to the arm, and then all the way down through this final thread guide, another one right here above the needle, and then finally down to the needle. You're going to thread this machine from the front to the back because, as you'll see when I take this bed off in a few seconds, that bobbin is on the front of the machine. Also, you'll notice huge amount of clearance underneath that presser foot. And you know, when it comes to the Husqvarnas, there is a modest hyperextension, but really there's so much clearance as it is, you really very seldom have to access that. Okay, I'm going to move this thread to the side towards the pillar, remove this incredible bed, and you can get a real clear view of that free arm. And I think the cool thing about the free arm on this 19E is that it's very small, so that you're able to, whether you're doing cuffs or whether you're doing other alterations, you're able to fit very tiny pieces of garments on here without having to try to struggle with forcing it over a free arm like you'll find on some other machines where it's really not designed to handle those smaller circumferences. Also, you'll see when I open this up here, we've got the bobbin, which is easy to get to. Also, the unique thing about the 19E, and certainly the 21A as well, is when it was engineered, it was designed with a floating feature in here so that it is virtually impossible to get a thread jam. But if that does happen in the unlikely instance, it's very easy to remove the bobbin and to clear a jam without too much difficulty. And the instruction manual obviously provides guidance on that as well. So this is an incredible machine in every respect, and I'm going to demonstrate another feature of that right now by rotating this to the side nice and far, so you can, hopefully the camera can get a real nice shot of the bobbin side over here. Now again, the unique thing about this 19E and why they call it a special is, like the 21A, you simply slide the bobbin into place, and with that simple step, if I step on the foot control right now, you don't see any movement of that needle whatsoever, do you? Now, if the camera we'll kind of go over towards that area again. I'm going to rotate the machine back. I'm going to take that bobbin off. Bobbin is off now. And just do a quick stitch off. Now listen very carefully so you can hear that clutch re-engage. We haven't done anything else at all. And by simply stepping on the foot control now, that clutch will automatically re-engage and we can resume sewing. So listen carefully, I'll be quiet. So soft you can barely hear it, but that was that clutch re-engaging again so that you're able to resume sewing, no difficulty, no problem whatsoever, and you're able to get your project done. So I'm going to go ahead and slide that bed back on, and then I want to show you something kind of cool as far as the vintage material that we're including with this as well. I'm going to go ahead and kind of turn this over. You can see I'm going to fold that leg back down and then just slide this back into position again. It slides on so easily, so you can go back and forth between having access to that free arm and then having access to this incredible workspace in bed again. We always try to get our machines from the original owner. This is actually a vintage letter that was sent to that owner back in, well, September 28th, 1965. Again, this machine is from 1964, but the owner, you know, like any time a new machine goes into a store, it's not necessarily going to be purchased right away, and this owner must have purchased it after the new year sometime, you know, going into September, and they finally got in the mail their guarantee, as all of the original Vikings provided. Also the sewing certificate as well for the machine having been serviced and being ready to go to work, just as we guarantee our machines when it comes to them being properly serviced and getting them back to that factory standard. So this we want to include simply so that the owner of this machine then can carry on that legacy of having these original documents that the original owner that we purchased this machine from was careful enough to hold on to. Now, if this isn't enough to get you excited about this incredible machine, as we always try to do with our Swedish machines, we love to include a sweet bonus. You know, you're working on a project really hard, you put a lot of hours into it, you need a break, you need to re-energize. There's no better way to do it than with this delicious European chocolate. So these are going to be included just as a fun bonus, so that when you get through that project you can reward yourself. So make sure you check out our other videos as well, where we're going to demonstrate why these wonderful green machines are so coveted, especially ones that we've serviced, because they are unbelievably powerful. So check those out.